The great hall of the Galactic Assembly was full of noise. Hundreds of species sat in their seats, each one different from the next. Some had scales, some had feathers, some floated in special tanks filled with liquid. They had come from every corner of the known galaxy to discuss important matters. But today, there was only one matter that anyone cared about. They were dying. Ambassador stood at the back of the hall. She was a human woman with dark hair and sharp eyes. She wore the blue uniform of the United Earth Coalition, and she stood very still as she watched the center platform. A small creature stood there, trembling. Its skin was pale blue, almost see-through. Its large eyes were wet with tears. It was the most fragile thing had ever seen. It spoke in a voice that shook with fear. "Please," it said, "you must help us. The Empire has come to our world. They burn our cities. They kill our people. We cannot fight them. We have never known war. We do not have weapons. We do not have soldiers. We only have doctors and teachers and artists. Please. If you do not help us, we will all die." The hall went quiet. Every species looked at them with sad eyes, but no one moved, no one spoke. Knew why? She had read the reports. The Empire was dangerous. Their soldiers were big and strong. Their ships were fast and powerful. They had already destroyed 3 star systems. No one in this room wanted to fight them. No one in this room even knew how to fight. That was the problem with this galaxy, thought. It was too peaceful, too soft. These species had given up war long ago. They had forgotten how to hold a weapon. They had forgotten how to stand and fight. They were kind, yes. They were wise, yes. But kindness and wisdom would not stop The assembly chair, a tall being with 4 arms and silver skin, finally spoke. "We hear your pain," it said. "The Galactic Assembly will help you. We will send humanitarian aid. We will send food and medicine and shelter. We will send doctors to heal your wounded." The blinked, but what about they are still in orbit above our world. They will destroy any ship that comes close. The chair looked uncomfortable. "We are not a military organization. We do not have warships. We can only offer what we have." The face fell. It understood now. Help was coming, but not the help it needed. The assembly would send bandages while they sent bombs. Felt something hot in her chest. It was anger. She had seen this before. She had seen powerful groups hide behind rules and policies while innocent people suffered. She had seen them offer prayers when what was needed was action. She did not speak. Not yet. It was not her place. Humans were new to this galaxy. They had only joined the assembly 50 years ago. Many species still did not trust them. Many species still called Earth a death trap, a planet of monsters. They did not understand humans. They did not want to understand. But understood something they did not. She understood that sometimes kindness was not enough. Sometimes you needed strength. Sometimes you needed to show your teeth. The meeting ended an hour later. The assembly voted to send an aid convoy to Prime. 15 unarmed freighters would carry food, medicine, and emergency shelters. It was a good thing to do. It was the right thing to do. But it would not save anyone. Walked back to her quarters in silence. The halls of the station were bright and clean. Soft music played from hidden speakers. Everything was designed to be calm and pleasant, but did not feel calm. She felt like a storm was building inside her. When she reached her room, she locked the door and sat down at her desk. She looked at the small communication device in front of her. It was connected to a special network, one that only humans used. It was encrypted. It was secret. It was meant for moments exactly like this. She pressed a button and waited. A face appeared on the screen. It was a man with gray hair and hard eyes. He wore a black uniform with many medals on his chest. His name was, and he was the Fleet Admiral of the United Earth Navy. "Ambassador," he said, "I watched the assembly meeting. I know what happened." Nodded. "They are sending food and blankets to people who need bullets and bombs." "That is their way," said. "They have forgotten what it means to fight." "The will die," said. "Every last one of them. The do not take prisoners. They do not show mercy. They will burn that planet down to its core. Was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "What do you want me to do?" Took a deep breath. This was the moment. Once she said the words, there would be no going back. Humanity would step out of the shadows. The galaxy would see what they really were. Some would be grateful. Some would be afraid, but they would live. Send the fleet, said. Not the aid ships, not the medical transports. Send the warships. Send the soldiers. Send everything we have. Smiled. It was a cold smile, the kind that promised violence. The 7th Expeditionary Fleet is ready. We have been waiting for a moment like this. The galaxy thinks we are weak because we come from a dangerous planet. They are wrong. We are strong because we come from a dangerous planet. How soon can you leave? Asked. 12 hours, said. We will arrive at Prime 3 days after the aid convoy. I hope there will still be something left to save. There will be, said. They are stronger than they look. They just need someone to buy them time. Nodded. Then we will buy them time, and we will make the pay for every second of it. The screen went dark. Sat alone in the quiet room. Outside her window, the stars burned in the endless black. Somewhere out there, people were dying. Somewhere out there, monsters were winning. But not for long. The humans were coming. Earth was not a kind planet. The rest of the galaxy knew this. They had studied it. They had measured it. They had written long reports about it. And they had all come to the same conclusion. Earth was a nightmare. The gravity was crushing. Most species could barely stand on its surface. The temperature changed wildly from one place to another. Some parts were so hot that water turned to steam. Other parts were so cold that the air itself froze. The planet was covered with predators, from tiny insects that carried deadly diseases to massive beasts with teeth as long as swords. And the air was filled with oxygen, a gas that burned and corroded everything it touched. Humans breathed it like it was nothing. They needed it to survive. The rest of the galaxy called it poison. Earth was classified as a Category 9, the highest rating possible. Scientists said that nothing intelligent should have evolved there. It was too dangerous, too hostile, too wild. But humans did evolve there, and they did not just survive. They conquered. They built cities on every continent. They hunted the predators. They tamed the storms. They spread across every corner of their terrible planet and made it their home. This was the secret that the galaxy did not understand. Humans were not strong despite Earth. They were strong because of Earth. Every generation had to fight to live. Every generation had to be faster, smarter, and tougher than the one before. The weak died young. The strong passed on their strength. After millions of years, what remained was a species built for war. Fleet Admiral stood on the bridge of the Indomitable, the flagship of the 7th Expeditionary Fleet. The ship was 2 kilometers long, covered in armor and bristling with weapons. It was the most powerful warship humanity had ever built, and it was not alone. 12 ships surrounded it, destroyers with cannons that could punch through mountains, frigates loaded with missiles, carriers that held hundreds of fighter craft. Together, they formed a force that could break empires. Looked at the main screen. It showed the fleet in perfect formation, a line of metal wolves ready to hunt. He felt a deep satisfaction in his chest. This was what he was made for. This was what all of them were made for. Admiral, a voice said. It was his tactical officer. She was a young woman with quick eyes and a sharp mind. All ships report ready. We can depart on your command. What about the Reapers? Asked. Colonel confirms her battalion is loaded and prepared. 2,000 soldiers in full combat gear. Nodded. The Reapers were the best ground troops in the human military. They wore power that made them faster and stronger. They carried weapons that could cut through steel, and they were trained to fight in any environment, from frozen wastelands to burning deserts. They had never faced anything like them. Far below, in the launch bay of the carrier Black Sun, Lieutenant sat in the cockpit of his fighter. He was 24 years old with dark hair and a calm face. He had joined the military 3 years ago, right after school. He wanted to fly. He wanted to see the stars. He wanted to protect people who could not protect themselves. Now he was about to go to war. He pulled out a small pad and began to write a message. It was for his sister, who still lived on Earth. She was only 16. She did not know where he was going. She did not know what he was about to do. "Dear," he wrote, "by the time you read this I will be far away. I cannot tell you where, I cannot tell you why, but I want you to know that I am not afraid. I was born on a planet that tried to kill me every day. I survived storms and earthquakes and diseases. I survived all of it. This will be no different. Humans do not break. We bend and then we bounce back harder than before. Do not worry about me. I will come home, I promise." He sent the message and closed his eyes. In a few hours he would be in combat. He would face enemies who wanted to kill him. He would fly at speeds that would turn most species into paste, and he would not hesitate. He could not afford to hesitate. Back on the Indomitable, Colonel checked her equipment one last time. Her was polished and ready. Her rifle was loaded. Her blade was sharp. She had killed before, many times in training exercises and small conflicts on the edge of human space. But this was different. This was a real war against a real enemy. She thought about she had seen pictures of them. They looked like glass figures, beautiful and fragile. They had no claws, no fangs, no armor. They had built their civilization on peace and medicine. They helped other species live longer and healthier lives. They had never hurt anyone. And now they were burning their world. Felt her jaw tighten. She did not hate hatred was a waste of energy, but she would destroy them. She would tear through their ships and their soldiers until there was nothing left. Not because she was angry, because it was the right thing to do. The fleet began to move. One by one, the ships powered up their engines and turned toward the edge of the solar system. The stars blurred as they accelerated, pushing past speeds that would kill any other species. Watched the stars stretch into lines of light. He thought about the Galactic Assembly and their aid convoy. 15 unarmed freighters, full of good intentions and no way to defend themselves. They would arrive at Prime first. They would try to help, and they would die. Unless the humans got there in time. "How long until we reach Prime?" asked. 3 days at maximum speed, said. "The aid convoy will arrive in 2. "Then we have no time to waste," said. "Push the engines harder. I do not care if we burn them out. We can fix engines. We cannot bring back the dead." The fleet surged forward, cutting through the darkness like a blade. Behind them, Earth shrank to a tiny blue dot, then disappeared entirely. They were leaving home. They were going to war, and they were going to show the galaxy what it could do. The thought they were the most dangerous force in the universe. They had never lost a war. They had never faced an enemy they could not crush. They had never faced humans. That was about to change. The aid convoy arrived at Prime on a bright morning. 15 ships dropped out of hyperspace in a careful line, their hulls painted white with the symbol of the Galactic Assembly on their sides. They carried food and medicine and hope. They did not carry weapons. Captain Nara of the lead freighter looked at the planet below. It was beautiful, covered in blue oceans and green forests. Clouds drifted across its surface like cotton. From here it looked peaceful, but she knew better. She could see the fires burning on the southern continent. She could see the smoke rising into the sky. They had been busy. "This is Aid Convoy 7, she said into her communicator. "We are beginning our approach. Please clear a landing zone." There was a crackle of static, then a voice answered. It was weak and tired. "Aid Convoy 7, this is Prime Control. We are glad you came. We do not have much left, but we will find a place for you." Nara felt her heart break a little. These people had been through so much. They just wanted to survive, and all she had to offer them was food and blankets. "We are coming," she said. "Hold on." But they did not get the chance to land. A shadow fell over the convoy. Nara looked up and saw them. Warships, 30 of them dropping out of the clouds like a pack of wolves. They were ugly ships, covered in spikes and armor, their weapons glowing with power. They had been waiting. "Attention, intruders," a voice boomed through the speakers. It was deep and harsh, like rocks grinding together. "You are entering space. Turn back now or be destroyed." Nara's hands trembled. "We are not here to fight. We are here to help we are carrying humanitarian aid." The voice laughed. It was a cruel laugh full of contempt. "They belong to us now. Their planet belongs to us. You are not welcome here." "Please," Nara said. "We mean no harm. Let us help these people." There was a pause. Then the voice said no. The first missile hit the freighter to Nara's left. It exploded in a ball of fire, breaking apart like a toy. Debris scattered across space, spinning and burning. 300 crew members died in an instant. Nara screamed into her communicator, "All ships, retreat, get out of here." But it was too late. They were everywhere. They fired again and again, their weapons tearing through the unarmed convoy. Another ship exploded, then another. The freighters tried to run, but they were too slow. They were made for carrying cargo, not for escaping death. Nara watched as her convoy died around her. She saw escape pods launch, only to be shot down by fighters. She saw good people, kind people, burned to ash because they wanted to help. And then her own ship was hit. The explosion threw her across the bridge. She felt pain everywhere, sharp and hot. The lights went out. The air started to leak. She knew she was dying. But in her last moments, she saw something strange. A flash of light, then another, then dozens all at once. Ships were arriving, big ships, ships covered in weapons. Human ships. The 7th Expeditionary Fleet dropped out of hyperspace like a hammer from heaven. 12 warships, arranged in perfect formation, their guns already locked on target. At the front was the Indomitable, the largest and deadliest ship any of them had ever seen. On the bridge, Admiral watched the destruction below. He saw the burning freighters. He saw the escape pods being hunted down. He felt cold fury rise in his chest. These were not soldiers. They were murderers. They killed unarmed ships carrying food and medicine. They shot at people who could not fight back. They would regret this. "Open a channel," said. Pressed a button, channel open. Spoke in a calm voice. "Vessels, this is Fleet Admiral of the United Earth Navy. You have attacked an unarmed convoy. You have killed innocent people. You have made a terrible mistake." There was silence. Then the commander responded. He was Lord, the leader of this invasion force. His face appeared on the screen. He was massive, with gray skin and yellow eyes and tusks that jutted from his jaw. He looked at with amusement. "More weaklings from the soft galaxy," said. "I have heard of your species. You come from a dangerous planet, yes, but you are small, you are fragile, you will burn like the rest." Did not smile, he did not frown, his face was like stone. "We are not from the soft galaxy," he said. "We are from Earth, and we do not burn." He turned to, "What is our acceleration rate?" "We are approaching combat speed," said. "They are scanning us. They seem confused." "Of course they are," said. "They have never seen a species that can survive these speeds. They think their sensors are broken." Was still talking on the screen. He was threatening them, promising to destroy them, boasting about all the species he had conquered. Ignored him. "All ships," said. "Attack pattern Delta, target their command vessels first, show no mercy." The fleet surged forward. The engines roared. The ships accelerated at a rate that would turn most living things into paste. But the humans inside just braced themselves and held on. They were used to this. They had trained for this. Their bodies were built for this. The opened fire. Missiles and plasma bolts streaked across space. Some hit their targets. Armor cracked. Hull plates buckled. But the human ships did not stop. They did not slow down. They kept coming, faster and faster, like a wall of death. Stopped laughing. He stopped threatening. He started to look worried. "What are they doing?" he demanded. "Why are they not slowing down? That speed should kill them." His officers had no answer. They had never seen anything like this. On the Indomitable gave a single command: fire. Every weapon on every ship fired at once. Cannons roared, missiles launched, plasma beams cut through the darkness. The fleet, caught off guard and out of position, took the full force of the attack. Ships exploded, armor shattered, thousands have died in the first 10 seconds. And the humans were just getting started. Captain Nara, bleeding and broken on her destroyed ship, saw the battle unfold through a cracked window. She saw the ships burning. She saw the human fleet tearing them apart. And for the first time in hours, she felt something other than fear. She felt hope. The battle in space was chaos. Ships spun and fired and exploded. Missiles streaked through the darkness like angry stars. Plasma beams cut through armor like hot knives through butter. And in the middle of it all, the humans fought with a fury that they had never seen. Lieutenant flew his fighter through a wall of enemy fire. His hands moved fast on the controls, turning and spinning and diving. Warning lights flashed on his dashboard. His shield was failing. His fuel was low. But he did not stop. He could not stop. There were bombers ahead, bombers heading toward the planet below, and he had to destroy them. He locked onto the first bomber and fired. His missiles hit true, and the enemy ship broke apart in a ball of fire. He pulled up, dodging the debris, and locked onto the next one. Another kill. Then another. His squadron was all around him, flying patterns that should have been impossible, moving at speeds that should have crushed their bones. But they were human. Their bones were dense. Their muscles were strong. Their hearts pumped blood filled with iron. They were built for this. A voice crackled in his ear. It was his wingman. "I count 12 bombers left. They are spreading out." "Then we spread out too," said. "Take the ones on the left, I will take the right." They split up, pushed his fighter harder, feeling the G-forces press against his chest. Any other species would have passed out by now. Most would have died, but just gritted his teeth and kept flying. He found 3 bombers trying to reach the planet's atmosphere. They were big and slow, easy targets. He destroyed them one by one, watching them tumble and burn. When the last one exploded, he allowed himself a small smile. Then something hit his ship. The impact threw him forward in his seat. Alarms screamed in his ears. He looked at his dashboard and saw red lights everywhere. His engine was damaged. His weapons were offline. He was spinning out of control, falling toward the planet. Shouted, "Are you okay?" "No," said calmly. "I am going down. Continue the mission. I will be fine." He did not know if that was true, but he said it anyway. That was what humans did. They stayed calm when everything was falling apart. They kept fighting until the very last breath. He hit the eject button. His cockpit exploded outward, and he felt the cold of space wrap around him. His suit sealed automatically, keeping him alive. He floated in the darkness, watching his broken fighter tumble away. He would wait, he would survive, someone would find him. Far below, on the planet's surface, Colonel led her soldiers into battle. The Reapers had landed near the largest ground base, dropping from the sky in armored pods that crashed through the enemy defenses like meteors. Was the first one out. She hit the ground running, giving her the speed of a vehicle. A soldier stood in her path, massive and armored, holding a weapon as big as she was. She did not slow down. She raised her rifle and fired 3 shots. The first cracked his armor. The second broke through. The third killed him. More came, dozens of them. They were bigger than humans, stronger, covered in natural armor that could stop most weapons. But the Reapers were not using most weapons. They were using human weapons, designed to kill things that were hard to kill. Fought like a dancer, moving from enemy to enemy with deadly grace. She shot when she could, and when she ran out of bullets, she used her blade. It was made of a metal that could cut through almost anything. She had named it Silence. By the time the battle was over, it had earned its name many times. Her soldiers fought beside her. They worked in pairs, covering each other, moving as one unit. They tried to fight back, but they were not prepared for this. They had expected weak species, soft species, species that would run or surrender. They did not expect creatures who smiled when they were wounded. They did not expect soldiers who got back up after being knocked down. "Colonel," one of her soldiers called, "we found the entrance to their command center, but it is heavily guarded." Looked at the building ahead. It was a fortress made of black metal surrounded by walls and turrets. Inside was Lord, she was sure of it. The coward had retreated from space when his ship started burning. He was hiding here, hoping his soldiers would protect him. They would not. "Bring the heavy weapons," said. "We are going in." The assault on the command center lasted 30 minutes. They fought hard, but it was not enough. The Reapers blasted through the walls. They cleared the corridors room by room, leaving bodies behind them. By the time they reached the command deck, only a handful of her soldiers were left standing. They were all wounded. They were all tired, but they were all alive. Lord was waiting for them. He was alone, standing in the center of the room, holding a massive blade. His officers had abandoned him. His guards were dead, but he was not afraid. He was too proud to be afraid. "Human," he growled, "you think you have won. I will crush you with my bare hands." Looked at him. He was twice her size. His arms were thick with muscle. His blade could cut through armor with a single swing. She handed her rifle to the soldier beside her. Then she drew silence. "Come then," she said. Charged. He was fast for his size, swinging his blade in a wide arc. Ducked under it, feeling the wind of the weapon pass over her head. She stepped forward and cut his arm. Blue blood sprayed from the wound. Roared in pain and anger. He swung again, harder this time, blocked the blow with silence. The impact rattled her bones, but she held firm. She pushed back, forcing him off balance, and cut him again. His leg this time. He fell to one knee. He tried to rise, but was already there. She pressed silence against his throat. "You were never the apex predator," she said. "You just had not met us yet." Stared at her with hatred in his yellow eyes. But there was something else there too, something he had never felt before. Fear. Did not kill him. Not yet. She needed him alive for now. He would answer for his crimes. He would face justice. But first, she would make sure his empire knew what had happened here. "Send a message to all forces," she said to her soldiers. "Tell them their lord has fallen. Tell them to leave this system or die." The message went out, and across the system, ships began to retreat. 6 hours later, a rescue team found Lieutenant floating in space. He was half frozen, his suit's power almost gone, but he was breathing. He was conscious. He was even smiling. "Took you long enough," he said as they pulled him into the shuttle. The medic shook her head in disbelief. "You were out there for 6 hours, in the cold of space. You should be dead." Shrugged. "I am human. We are hard to kill." 1 week after the battle, the Galactic Assembly met again. The Great Hall was fuller than it had ever been. Every species had sent their best representatives. Some had sent their leaders. They all wanted to see the same thing. They all wanted to understand what had happened at Prime. Ambassador stood at the center platform. She wore the same blue uniform she always wore, but something about her was different now. She carried herself with a new kind of confidence. Not arrogance, not pride, something quieter, something stronger. The representative was there too. This time, the small creature was not trembling. Its eyes were not wet with tears. It stood tall as its fragile body could manage, and it looked at with something close to worship. "We are here today," the assembly chair said, "to discuss the events at Prime. The invasion has been stopped. The people have been saved. But there are questions that must be answered." The chair turned too, its 4 arms folded across its chest. "Ambassador, your fleet attacked the Empire without assembly approval. You acted alone, outside the law. What do you have to say for yourself?" Stepped forward. The hall went silent. Every eye was on her. You are right, she said. We acted without your permission. We broke your rules. We did not wait for committees or debates or votes. We saw innocent people dying and we stopped it. There were murmurs in the crowd. Some species looked angry, others looked confused, but many looked curious. They wanted to hear more. You offered aid, continued. And aid is noble. Medicine and food and shelter are good things. They help people live. But sometimes living is not enough. Sometimes people need to be protected. Sometimes kindness must have teeth. She paused and looked around the room. You sent bandages to a massacre. We sent soldiers. You asked them to be kind. We forced them to stop. This is the difference between us. The chair shifted uncomfortably. But violence is not the answer. War only leads to more war. We left those ways behind long ago. And that is beautiful, said, truly. Your civilizations are peaceful. Your people are kind. You have built something wonderful here, a galaxy without war, a community of species working together. But that peace only exists because no one has challenged it. Until now. She pointed toward the window, toward the stars beyond. They do not care about peace. They do not want to join your community. They want to conquer it. They want to burn it. And they will unless someone stops them. And you think humans should be that someone. Another representative called out. You think your species should be the galaxy's protectors. Smiled. It was a tired smile, but honest. I think we are the only ones who can. Look at us. We come from a planet that tried to kill us every day. We survived earthquakes and volcanoes and ice ages. We fought predators with nothing but sticks and rocks. We crawled out of the mud and reached for the stars. She spread her hands. This is what we are. We are survivors. We are fighters. We do not look for war, but when war comes, we do not run. We stand and we fight and we win. That is the gift of our terrible planet. That is what Earth made us. The hall was silent. No one spoke. No one moved. Then the representative stepped forward. Its voice was soft, but it carried through the entire room. I have seen what the humans can do, it said. I have seen their ships burn our enemies from the sky. I have seen their soldiers fight with a courage I cannot understand. They came when no one else would. They bled for us. They died for us. It turned to face the assembly. I do not know if they are the answer to all our problems, but I know that my people are alive because of them, and I will never forget that. One by one, other representatives began to nod. They were not the only ones who had been touched by the threat. Other species, smaller species, weaker species, had been watching the invasion with terror. They had seen their own future in the burning cities of Prime, and now they saw something else. They saw hope. The debate lasted for hours, but the outcome was never really in doubt. The Assembly voted to create a new defense force, a coalition of military ships that would protect the galaxy from threats like and they asked humanity to lead it. Admiral received the news aboard the Indomitable. He was still in orbit above Prime, watching the planet heal. The fires were out now. The smoke was clearing. They were rebuilding. Fleet Admiral said, "Message from Earth. They are very pleased with the outcome." Nodded. He did not smile. He rarely did. But there was a warmth in his eyes that his crew had learned to recognize. "What about he asked. "They have retreated to their home systems," said. "Their empire is in chaos. Lord is being held for trial. Many of their generals are fighting each other for power. They will not threaten anyone for a long time." "Good," said, "but we will watch them, and if they try again, we will be ready." On the planet below, Lieutenant walked through a city. The buildings were strange and beautiful, made of crystal and light. The people looked at him with wide eyes, some with fear, some with gratitude, some with wonder. A child approached him. It was tiny, even by standards, with translucent skin and big blue eyes. It held something in its hands, a flower, delicate and purple, glowing softly in the sunlight. "For you," the child said. "Thank you for saving us." Knelt down and took the flower. It was so fragile he was afraid it might break in his hands. But he held it gently, carefully. The the way he held everything that mattered. "You are welcome," he said. "That is what we do. We protect people who cannot protect themselves." The child smiled and ran back to its parents, stood and watched it go. He thought about his sister back on Earth. He thought about the letter he had written before the battle. He would have to write another one now, a happier one. Across the city, Colonel stood on a rooftop looking at the sunset. The sky was painted in shades of orange and pink and gold. It was peaceful. It was quiet. For the first time in weeks, she let herself relax. Her was scratched and dented. Her blade was dirty with blue blood. She had not slept in 3 days, but she felt good. She felt like she had done something that mattered. A message came through her communicator. It was from Earth. She had been promoted to general. She was being given command of a new Special Forces division. They wanted her to train the next generation of Reapers. She smiled. There was more work to do. There was always more work to do, but that was fine. That was what she was for. Far away, in the great hall of the Galactic Assembly, Ambassador shook hands with the chair. The agreement was signed. The coalition was formed. Humanity had taken its place as the protectors of the galaxy. It was a heavy responsibility. It was a dangerous path, but knew her people could handle it. They had been handling danger since they first opened their eyes on that terrible, beautiful planet called Earth. The galaxy had thought humans were weak because they were small. It had thought they were primitive because they came from a harsh world. It had underestimated them in every way. It would not make that mistake again. The humans had arrived, and they were here to stay.